Namaste, you're on The Nation at 5. I'm Anand Narasimhan, and right at the top of this edition of The Nation at 5, which is coming to you live from the newsroom here at CNN News 18, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you one of those who is experiencing frequent call drops? You believe that kuch to karo, jab dekho call drop hote rahe. If that is what you feel, then we start this edition with a group of students, and one of them should be joining us live, who have perhaps now developed AI and software that could tackle call drops. This could be the solution to making sure that call drops are brought to a minimal going forward. Now, this is what they have done. 4 engineering students, they've developed a software that uses AI or artificial intelligence to optimize cellular antenna orientation based on their entire cluster strength. So these students are Niranjan Akella, Arumalla Reddy, Yeseswi Neeli and Bachu Sai Nikheel, who first presented this software during their final semester project because they realized that this was happening even in their own college and university campus, and they wanted to figure out, they had a project to do. They said, all right, why can't we work towards trying to see how best we can address this issue of call drops. So they've now developed a technology which is now patent pending. The group of students have also held initial talks with telecom operators, and the software may soon go to market. The software is deployed actually at the base transmitter station, which studies cluster patterns in the region for a certain number of days. At the same time, a motorized apparatus is fitted to the antenna to realign its position. Once all the data is collected, the software instructs the antenna on a cell tower to adjust to provide the best possible coverage in the area. So we are hoping to see if, I'm just going to quickly check if Niranjan is through with us. Niranjan, namaste, Jai Hind, and congratulations. How good is your software, and how soon so will we be able to get overcome this issue of call drops? I'll tell you, mate, we've really had this problem. Yeah. I experience this almost on a day-to-day basis. So tell me, how did you solve this?
Yeah, so it pretty much actually sprouted to me in a class of Internet of Things, where my professor was explaining in Guru Nanak Institution of Technology, where I've done my bachelor's, that we keep facing this call drops and low signal connectivity whenever we want to speak with someone, because communication is a medium in these days. So what I have observed that, why not automation can solve this, and whenever we have that problem, we just ping the carrier saying that we have these call drops and I'm not able to connect to someone, and that's the crucial problem that we face today. So as soon as the carrier receives this information, they just flag it and ping to the RF engineer and riggers who come up to the base station cell site, and then they climb up the tower to fix it. And I think that's a very backward way of solving things, because right now AI automation is the key of solving everything. And I thought, okay, why not just solve it? And I had my major project time at that time because I was in my final year. And I took it up as a challenge. Everybody criticized it because it was quite uncertain whether I could do it or not, whether it was possible or not. But we have prototyped it, and it came out to be, it came out with flying colors. And we automated the complete process by taking every SIM into consideration as a vector point, and just applying some basic machine learning algorithms like Gaussian mixture-based models. And then we just got it, and we formed the maximum cluster, and through that we are solving the problem of how each cluster needs to be allocated with enough signal strength and signal receptivity, and reduce the amount of call drops that are seen in even hugely populated areas.
Yeah. Now, but these call drops may vary based on the these call drops. Yeah, please complete. You have currently published?
Yeah. Okay. So we have currently published the patent, and we are looking forward to some meaningful incubations where we can receive some funding, and we can have some potential markets that we hit soon into the market. And
so you are scouting for business and scouting for takers.
We are yet for examination.
So you have prototyped it also,
so
you can display the product and see if it works or not. But my query to you is that there are different network operators. Have you seen a trend that call drop happens across network operators? Because some network operators claim lesser call drops or no call drops compared to others. So how is that linked to antenna and range and network? Because in
Okay,
a
so,
particular area like
coming to
Delhi
our
or in a
project,
particular region,
with-
there may be all network operators
correct.
may have high frequency or range in a particular area, but one network there is call drop happens, the other network it doesn't happen. So have you been able to address that?
We are currently only working at the base station level. We are looking at
Right.
it at a mass scale. We haven't gone through each carrier because carriers are at different levels, and we are yet to deduce that problem and derive solutions for that. Just like I said, if we have proper incubations and some funding and some support from the telecommunication industry, we can potentially solve that also. But as of now, we are looking forward to solving the problem at a larger scale, where we are hosting our algorithm, AI algorithm, which is an applied edge artificial intelligence algorithm at the base station level, which can solve the problem. So with enough support and motivation from everybody who is watching this, we can potentially have a larger market and better solutions out there.
How robust is your prototype, and how much have you put it? What kind of stress test has you given? Have you tested it only around university, or have you identified areas which have got frequent call drops, and is there a significant improvement?
So far, coming to the prototyping level and testing out our idea and patent. So far, we have tried it at the university level. We haven't got more opportunities at the time because it was also end of semester and we had to complete the major project. But we are currently communicating with Jio, who have launched 5G technology in the previous month in the October, and we are looking forward to DOT, Department of Telecommunication, who can potentially give us few contacts where we can test out and see what other things are lacking in the system, so that it is already robust enough as far we have tested, and there are also some loopholes that we might not see. Some researchers can potentially see through them and help us improve the technology and provide a better value proposition to the carriers and also the end users.
True. And how soon? Have you got any feelers, interest from somebody, investors? Have you pitched to somebody? And who's the brains behind this? I know there are 4 of you, but who would you give more credit for developing, coming up with the idea, working out the software, writing the code, etc.? Be honest, Niranjan.
So it's a collective effort. If you ask me, it's a team effort completely. And our professor, Dr. Rashid Mohammed from Guru Nanak Institutions, has helped us a lot in guiding us through, our mentor. And it's a combined effort. It's not a sole effort. But when it comes to the sole idea, if you ask, it sprouted to me initially in Internet of Things class, like I have briefed before. And after that, idea is nothing if you don't execute it in a proper way and without a proper team. And I had a wonderful team, as you can see, Yeseswi, Nikheel and Koushik and me. So we have, it's a collective effort in that manner, and we are looking forward to the grant, and we have published it, and it is yet to be completely granted.
Right, Niranjan, and to your friends, all the very, very best. If you've really worked out on a solution to call drops, then I'm sure there'll be many, many takers. So as you rake in the millions, you promise no call drops for all of us cell phone users. All the very, very best. Thank you very much for joining us. So with that good news, ladies and gentlemen, let's move and shift focus quickly towards another very, very intriguing development. There is a new train that was started from Asarwa or Ahmedabad to Udaipur, the Asarwa-Udaipur Express. And there is a plan to try and sabotage this, causing social unrest. It is not just an ordinary blast. The information points to something far more sinister. This is the detail. This is what happened. This happened on Sunday, the incident occurring on Rajasthan's Udaipur, the Asarwa-Udaipur Express. There was, ahead of this train passing, there was a huge blast. And this blast happened at the Keoda Ki Naal near Udaipur. According to the police, gunpowder and detonators were also recovered from the railway track. News 18 India is also reporting that there have been traces of gelatin that have been found. The case has now been handed over to the Udaipur ATS, but top intelligence sources telling CNN News 18 that the bomb was placed with the intention of spreading terror. Blast material was also locally procured with the purpose of sabotage. Listen in to what the Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot had to say.
जांच कर रहे हैं, एनआईए वालों को बुला लिया हम लोगों ने, वो भी देख रहे हैं किस एंगल से क्या घटना हुई, क्यों हुई, पीछे क्या कारण था। एफएसएल वाले भी चले गए, तो उसको बहुत ही गंभीरता से ले ली। जांच कर रहे हैं, एनआईए वालों को बुला लिया हम लोगों ने, वो भी देख रहे हैं किस एंगल से क्या घटना हुई, क्यों हुई, पीछे क्या कारण था, एफएसएल वाले भी चले गए, तो उसको बहुत ही गंभीरता से ले ली।
An explosion on a track about 35 kilometers away from Udaipur. The teams of state government ATS, central government NIA, railways RPF, all the teams are there on the site. Moment the information came, everybody reached at the site. Investigation is going on. Whomsoever has done this kind of destructive activity, they will be severely punished. We'll go to the logical end to make sure that the people who have tried to destroy the track and cause a big accident, they will be punished to the logical end.
And news is coming through. Our investigations editor Manoj Gupta getting us more details on the Udaipur blast and the probe so far. Top intelligence sources are telling CNN News 18 that the bomb was planted with the intention of terror. It is a terror act, an act of terror is what the central agencies are saying. Agencies have no lead so far. They have identified some local gangs who have probably done this on behalf of some terror group. The agencies are trying to understand the blast attempt when train had already left. Agencies feel there is a possibility that the remote triggering got failed and that they couldn't install it properly, and that's why the blast occurred after the train had passed. It was intended to happen before the train passed or while the train was passing. There are other inputs which suggest that nearly 3 kilograms of explosive have been used. Their agencies are scanning leads in this case and optimistic to get results soon. The blast material was locally procured with the purpose of sabotage. Terror groups have started new strategies to identify local boys or local elements, antisocial elements, and that to brainwash them through social media. They are identified by the ISI and they are paid some amount of money and then assigned this job of sabotage. The idea is to create optics, kill maximum number of people, cause derailment, and clearly loss to life and property. Let's go across to our guest this evening, Hemant Atri, senior journalist with us, Tushar Gupta, senior editor, Swarajya magazine, and Abhishek Banerjee, columnist, also with us. Namaste, gentlemen. Hemantji, this is a pattern we are seeing. We are seeing youngsters, gangs being recruited to ferry arms, explosives, and also commit acts of terror.
Anandji, whatever is happening in last about 2 months in Punjab particularly and now in Rajasthan, it's somewhat, very astonishing and shocking. Day before yesterday, the way the blast took off at this Udaipur overbridge, the kind of, detonators were used. It was a grade 90 detonator. It's not a simple thing. You and me can't get it from anywhere, number one. Yeah. Number two, the blast used in mining material. It has been, somehow they have got it from some mining, because there are certain areas around in the particular Udaipur area where the mining generally happens. So this kind of material, 3 kg of it, and then gelatin sticks and so many other things are also there. One thing is very clear, that there is 100% a terrorist angle to it. It is not an anti-social kind of a local level activity. It is planned from somewhere very big place and then executed by some local module. Initially, these kind of indications are coming. Now the thing is, how is police going about it? ATS is on the ground, IB is also there, NSG is also there, and furthermore, NIA is also looking into the case. The thing is, how this mining material, this blast material, went to anti-social elements or terrorist elements for that matter. It is the first and foremost point to be investigated. Of course, all those culprits have to be arrested. But first of all, there has to be a very categorical check on this blasting material, which is happening all around in the Shivalik area. If you start from Jaipur to Delhi to Faridkot to Yamunanagar, all this is mining area. And they can always get it. And these kind of people who are working in the mines, they are very lowly paid staff. They don't know the intricacies of what they are giving to whom. This kind of blast material, they could have caused any big, very big traumatic kind of an instance if the railway train was passing over and this kind of blast had happened. So police and NIA have to ensure that this kind of blasting material does not go into the anti-social elements. That is very important.
Very rightly said. Very rightly said. And in fact, Kapil, our News 18 India correspondent, had even reported that the extent or the intensity of the blast was so strong that houses' window panes were rattling and they heard it and they actually shook more than 1.5, 2 kilometers away from this place of the blast. Tushar, that also points that there are elements who want to rake up trouble. They want to cause damage. Is this a new form of terror? Cause an accident which causes huge amounts of life, loss of life and property.
Good evening, Anand. Firstly, I agree with what Mr. Atri is saying. This could have been far worse. This could have taken a lot of lives. They could have consumed a lot of innocent lives. This could have injured many people. This was supposed to be far worse than it ended up being. Anand, there are two aspects to this. One, these are lone wolf terror attacks, the ones we've been fearing, the ones we've been talking about since the entire discussion around PFI has started. Now the discussion is also involving local gangs. The idea is to not just rake up trouble, but also instill fear amongst the population. You get one radicalized gentleman or someone online or offline, get them to create blasts like this, get them the materials, get them the explosives, get them the ammunition, the weapons, whatever they need to, and carry out an attack. Out of 100 such attacks, if they carry out, even if they get one right, that's going to take a lot of toll on innocent lives. That is what worries me. That now we are entering a phase where there are organizations which are very cleverly backing these lone wolf terror attacks. Number two, Anand, the railway line in question was inaugurated just a few weeks back by the Prime Minister. This was a gift to the people of the region. And now what do we have? People blasting up the railway line. We saw this with Vande Bharat too. The new Vande Bharat was moving and people were building stones on it during the trial runs. I sense, Anand, there are not just people who want to rake up trouble. These are also enemies of development. They see some new development happening. They see some new project coming up. They see new infrastructure. They want to take it down. So we are fighting a very difficult battle here, where we're not only dealing with the enemies of development, we are now witnessing, or rather, we need to focus on the threat of lone wolf terror attacks. That is what we must worry about.
The amount of radicalization, brainwashing that's happening using social media, and also commissioning of crimes, which is happening. Elements sitting abroad, outside the country, are able to get to local goons. Abhishek Banerjee, new pattern emerging.
Yeah, so Anand, of course, I agree with Mr. Atri and Tushar. So one thing I just want to add is, as Tushar was talking about why this railway line is so significant, basically it is how can it even last till now? So now this new broad gauge line was opened, because of which the journey time was reduced from 10 hours to 5 hours. So this is a very, very significant development for the economy, for the people in that region. This route connecting Asarwa, which is a suburb of Ahmedabad, to Himmatnagar and all these places, the tribal regions. And clearly there are people who despise the fact that, some development is happening in the country. And when I heard this incident yesterday, I was absolutely chilled, because they wanted the train to, they wanted the bridge to go down when the train was passing, clearly. But the other thing that we noticed here is that there is a certain level of amateurishness in what they have done, because, they blew up, there was a huge sound, alerted everybody, they couldn't time it. So what does that suggest? It suggests that this is, this is not even the direct hand of ISI or some experienced terror organization. These could be self-radicalized individuals, which it's very difficult to detect. How are you even going to find out who is sitting on a computer or a smartphone and getting radicalized somewhere? How are we going to even trace them? And as Mr. Atri pointed out, I did not know this angle, that, you can get this explosive from mining. That's a whole other angle. These self-radicalized people, how are we going to handle them?
These gelatin sticks have usually used for mining, but they are very strongly apportioned, rationed, and also they're accounted for. So how did they get hand of it is significant. This meter gauge, I have travelled regularly because I've lived in Udaipur. And I've studied in Udaipur, and till the late 90s, I'll tell you that the meter gauge was largely steam engines. There was not even diesel engines or electrical engines did not lie, because they were all for broad gauge. So it was steam engines, and there used to be two steam engines, one behind and one forward, to even push it up the hills. Sometimes the train would just roll back because one engine could not pull it. That was the state of affairs, and it just did not change. And there was huge amount of resistance for it to be broad gauged. But Hemantji, coming back to this hiring of goons and commissioning goons to conduct an act, how planned was this, that they used that particular location, that area, from where the damage would have been maximum? The damage caused to the tracks itself shows. It's just perhaps the amount of training. They were perhaps a little raw, immature in trying to put this together. And let's say it is good fate and fortune that this blast has happened in the dead of the night when no train was passing.
Anandji, this is something very, very serious and shocking, the way things are taking shape now. kind of, trigger happy youngsters. The people who were arrested 2 days back by Delhi police in the Dera Premi case in Punjab, you know how old they were? They were just 14 years of age. 14 years. They don't know that they are not radicalized. They don't know what they are doing. They have been hired for two things: catch them young, they have energy, and then there is an element of outside. They are committing a crime while going on a single notice from abroad, Canada. Their message they got today, and tomorrow morning at 8:30 they got the operation done. Two of the youngsters, and there were three modules in that, two from Haryana and one from Punjab. Now there is a new phenomena by saying so, but I want to connect, Anand. This is something very disturbing. What is happening is all these people who are sitting outside, maybe Pakistan, maybe Canada, or for that matter, US, what they are doing? They are hiring the modules which are not from the same state, from the neighboring states. Suppose there has to be some crime to be committed in Udaipur. They will not hire some local person. They will just put somebody on task from Haryana, Punjab, or somewhere Western UP or somewhere of that area. So that the area, the local police or the NIA, they just go and get them tracked right away. Number one. Number two, though these people, though 14 years or youngsters or maybe 20 years, they don't know the fallouts of the whole thing. These are open and blatant terrorist activities which the state government and state police and even NIA, it's very difficult to track because they don't have any crime history. There are no criminal antecedents. So the thing is, local police.
Because of the inputs that we have. Tushar Gupta, one of the other aspects is who are these elements who may be antisocial, but they are local people. So they could have their own people traveling. They would have locals who will be traveling in these trains. How is it that they're okay for a few bucks, or are they so far gone by social media radicalization that they don't care who dies as long as people die?
You answer the question very well, Anand, and the question is radicalized that at this point they don't even care the number of lives they are taking, that the people they are ending up killing are the people that belong to their regions, their cities, their villages, their districts. They don't care. They're so far gone. All they want to do is take that lone wolf tag. They want to take it. They want to claim it proudly. They want to carry out an attack. These were the kind of people that were seen in Europe also in the 2015, 16, 17, when the attacks became very infamous there. They were people who belonged to those cities. They had migrated there for a new life, Anand. Of all things, they had migrated from a war-torn state to a developed part of the world for a better life. And there they were getting radicalized online, carrying out attacks against the very country, against the very people who had embraced them. This is how radicalization works. Today, someone sitting in Canada, someone sitting in Middle East, someone sitting anywhere can just push a few buttons, radicalize a 16-year-old, give them that, promise of a very holy life after whatever they do as a crime. And this is what they buy. It's not about the money. It's also about the ideology that is driving people to embrace this. That is what worries me. And the problem is people are vulnerable. People are very vulnerable. They are not vulnerable because they need money. They are not vulnerable because they believe in something. They are just empty brains ready to be radicalized. That is what worries me a lot.
Yes, it is a cause for concern. We've got more news coming through, and this is again a cause for concern, and this is coming in from Maharashtra. So let's go straight across to this, where news coming through. A PFI member named Irfan Daulat Nadwi, who plies his wares as a Maulana, has been arrested by the Maharashtra ATS in connection with an FIR by the Nashik ATS. 7 accused have been arrested so far. Nadwi has been accused of being involved in anti-national activities. Nadwi has been accused of giving anti-Hindu speeches and also the effort to deliberately radicalize people, not just to join PFI but also commit act against the state. He's been under the radar of the intelligence agencies for a while, and now he has been arrested. And again, the PFI seems to be banned, but their people, our cadre, are still active on ground, radicalizing and continuing to go about their business as if nothing has happened. Abhishek Banerjee.
Yeah. So, as I said, what is the solution to this? We are all worried about this lone wolfie, and honestly, I hate to say, but we have to start using some form of AI to control what people see over the internet. I mean, maybe that is not a great solution. It's not very palatable to us to think about. But that seems to be the only thing we can do, because at the end of the day, we are a country that is under attack on so many fronts. We have to do something. I mean, I hate to learn something from the Chinese, but I mean, even then, I was just learning that TikTok apparently has two separate algorithms. It has one algorithm in China. In China, if you open TikTok, it will show you about how kids are excelling in math and science. And if you open TikTok outside China, it will, give you garbage. So
Right.
this is something that I recently learned from watching just a YouTube video. I didn't know this. So we have to institute some form of AI that is, looking at what people are watching. We have to control it. There's really no other option. It's not great. Censorship is never a wonderful thing, but we have to protect ourselves. It's an information war, and during war, we have to take some measures.
Should we actually be looking at what people are watching, Tushar Gupta, or should we turning around and say what people are putting out? What kind of content is being putting out? And if there is vitriol and bile which is being putting out, that should be shut down. The government has shut down a lot of YouTubers and channels, but they always mushroom. You can ban PFI, arrest about 200 of its members, but if it is an organization which is 15, 20,000 strong across the country, if not more, then how is it? They're going to manifest. They're going to continue their activity.
Anand, at some point, the role of the social media companies, the platforms also has to be factored in whatever kind of literature they are allowing online. And this is not a Punjab problem alone. This is not a PFI problem alone. It's also today the problem in Kashmir. Social media is being used to lure young people into drugs. So at some point, the role of the social media platforms, their accountability has also to be put in question. And however difficult argument Abhijit is making, he's absolutely right. At some point, we have to take a difficult decision as to how do we control this menace. Because in China, the government can get the likes of Apple to take down apps which they claim are anti-social. Those are against the government. In India, however, we are just asking the social media companies to take action, have some safeguards, but nothing really happens. So if it can happen in one part of the world, why can't it happen in India? Abhijit is making a very difficult argument. Some might even question it, but he's making a very valid argument. The social media platforms hosting this radical literature are equally responsible. We might not have to put a watch on the entire population, but we need to watch out for some specific pages, some specific pockets where literature is originating. Now, the PFI is banned in India. Very simple example. The PFI has been banned, and rightfully so. Yet the cadre is active. Yet they're going on recruiting online, and this will go on till a certain extent. So where is the solution? At some point, the government has to explain the problem to the private companies operating in India, lay down the rules, lay down the regulations, and they have to be accountable as well.
Hemant Attri, you also agree that the government will now have to start monitoring what kind of content is being pushed into our country? Or they'll have to monitor what kind of content is being generated and who are generating this content and go after them?
No, honestly, the issue is somewhat larger than that. See, all these Facebook pages, Twitter pages, all these criminals who are sitting abroad, they are operating. You imagine a crime is committed in some part of India, and within 5 minutes from that crime getting executed, you are getting somebody who is sitting in Canada or Australia or in Pakistan and who is taking the responsibility. How come this system is working? One. Two, their Facebook pages or so many other social platform networks, they are already working in their own names, and government is not able to stop that effectively. See, banning some organization like PFI is one part. Second part is to effectively close down all those financial aspects through which they get financed. One. Two, to stop that radicalization process in the most harsh and effective way. Two. And third, that these things don't happen in future. So there has to be such a precedent wherein a new person who is, ready to get radicalized or something like that, that he doesn't even dream of doing that. Three parts of it. Effectively closing down the Facebook pages or Twitter handles or whatever they are. This is only one point. Banning is only second point. Third and most effective is how to stop that menace to spread furthermore. And government has to take concrete actions with the help of intelligence agencies. And I am afraid I should say it or not, Anand. One thing is very clear, that day is not far away when the government of India or the state governments will have to operationalize a specific police force or a task force for all these social media platforms just to keep an eye. Otherwise, ours is such a large country. It's very difficult to stop these kind of activities. So, along with, intelligence agencies or anti-terrorist squads, I think there has to be a focused and specific wing in a police departments in all the states who can take care of this part of social media menace and radicalization through social media. If it is not today, it will come in a few months or maybe in a few
Well,
years.
point is, how
That
are they
is
going to
need
work a
of it.
mechanism like that, Hemanji? Because Abhishek Banerjee, one of the aspects is you may know, intel agencies may know that someone is a highly radicalized element. Let's take the case of Mubin, who was in association with Azharuddin, who was involved in the Sri Lanka Easter bombings. But they were all operating in Tamil Nadu, they were all operating in Coimbatore. But the challenge for the agencies at that time is, just because you believe and you know that somebody is highly radicalized, you cannot put that person behind bars, because the court would look at them with leniency and go after the investigating agency, saying, what has this person done? He's not done any act against the state. He has not done anything illegal. You are just deciding this person is radicalized, but how are you going to prove it in court? And this is how this radicalization network continues.
Yeah, I mean, this is a challenge all across the world. We just saw that in the US, the Biden administration created the Disinformation Governance Board, right? Where they were trying to understand who is spreading disinformation. Sweden, which is supposed to be, the king of civil liberties, they now have a board which looks into this kind of disinformation. So one thing I would say, so I'll just make 2 points. One is that if the West was facing a large-scale problem like this, they would do censorship. They always protect their interests. The second thing is, well, it's always a difficult call. So we have to get in touch with other intelligence agencies around the world. We have to learn from their tactics. We have to understand how did the FBI, in the 1960s and 70s, the FBI faced a very similar problem in the US with radical anti-war activists. How did they stop it? We have to learn from their techniques. We have to upgrade. What did they do? How did they infiltrate these networks? So we need our own agents who
and what kind of networks they are developing. Sensational news that's coming through on the killing of Pradeep Singh Kataria. So this is Punjab, a follower of the Dera Sacha Sauda and an accused in the 2015 Bargari sacrilege case in Faridkot. The Delhi Police Special Cell has cracked the case, and in an intel operation, 3 accused have been arrested from Patiala, who were among the 6 assailants who killed Pradeep Kataria by firing 60 bullets. 60 rounds they fired. The Special Cell team raided the area, where they were nabbed at 3:30 a.m. So in the dead of the night, this happened in the wee hours. 4 of the assailants are from Haryana, 2 of them are from Punjab, and 2 of the shooters are 14 years old. The modules were being handled by Canada-based gangster Goldie Barar, an associate of Harvinder Rinda, and jailed gangster Lawrence Bishnoi. Efforts are currently underway to apprehend the remaining absconders. Hemant Atri now joining us with more, and Tushar Gupta is also with us. Hemant Atri, 2 of these assailants, 2 of these people who shot are just 14 years old, and they are under the command of Goldie Barar.
Anandji, these people, actually in this particular case, there are 6 assailants. 3 have been arrested by Delhi police in an encounter in Patiala village, and all 3 belong to Haryana, and 2 of them are 14 years old. Now, these 2 chaps, these trigger-happy lads, that's what we call, or adolescents for that matter, 14 years old, they were not trained anywhere. They were simply, during the Delhi police interrogation, they are simply trigger-happy. Just, they were basically lured into the thing to get a big name in criminal world of crime, number 1. Number 2, they were very fond of sophisticated weapons. And they got in touch with one of the modules which is already working, and who the criminal who absconded from Punjab police, custody. They were in his module. So in this particular case, there were 3 modules working. 1 from Punjab and 2 from Haryana. Only 3 have been arrested. There is 1 more fellow from Haryana who has to be arrested, and 2 local guys in Punjab. They were not assailants. They were basically providing them the recce and all those vital details to commit the crime. Now, in this particular case, the Haryana guys, the 4 of them, they were just given indication today evening, and yesterday morning they did it. This is what the Delhi police has established during their interrogation. Now, the thing is, see how the network is operating. Goldie Barar, sitting somewhere in Canada, or nowadays he is being told that he is in somewhere in US. He calls somebody, and then he further appoints these 2 lads to get the crime committed. So this kind of aspect, this is all through internet calling. And it is very difficult for a state police to have all this paraphernalia to track these all issues. The criminals who are not having any antecedents to that extent. These are fresh boys. They are not trained. They are not radicalized. Just for the lure of money, inducement of money, and sophisticated weapons, they are doing it. Now, Punjab police and particularly the intelligence of Punjab police, they have to understand one thing. First of all, they have to have a concrete, watertight case of intelligence in their particular state. Otherwise, Punjab being a border state, every day the weapons are coming through drones. Yesterday, what Mr. Bhagwant Mann did is something very interesting. Of course, all these licenses should be banned. He has stopped the weapon licenses for 3 months. 1. 2. All those licenses which are already given, weapon licenses, they will be fresh interrogated, no problem. Issue is something beyond that, Anand. Issue is that weapons are coming from across the border.
Yes.
And all these accused who went from Haryana, they were not carrying weapons at that point in time. They simply reached the spot. They were provided with those sophisticated weapons on the spot. And they fired 60 bullets and 45 of them were on the, the person who was killed or somewhere around him.
Pradeep Singh.
The thing is how these weapons are being brought to the spot from the local police Punjab area or for that matter any state. And there is one more module that they have started now. They don't commit any crime through Punjab locals. Either they will call from Haryana. If you get back to the Sidhu Moosewala case, all those assailants, they were from Haryana. All 6 of them.
Right.
So this is a new module.
So they get people from the neighboring state, bring them here, let them conduct, but they will just come barehanded. It will all be provided to them. The guns will be there. Pick up the gun, shoot, and then scoot, and go back to your native village or district, and then lay low for a while, and then go back, and the next assignment will come. So this is like a project basis which is happening. So what's happening? What's happening?
30 seconds. 30 seconds, Anand. And these people who killed Pradeep Kataria, they were there to commit one more crime. If Delhi police had not got them into the encounter, next day there was one more murder to be there. It is heads off to Delhi police that they had the encounter and they saved that other fellow. Otherwise, they were there in Patiala. Otherwise, they could have simply ran away. They stayed back in Patiala to commit one more murder next day. And that's
so they stayed back in Patiala to commit one more murder, but the arrest was done by Delhi police, not by Punjab police. So that's also surprising. And where is the Haryana police in all of these, as these gangsters are moving freely and floating between Haryana and Punjab, is another question. Tushar Gupta. So somewhere Delhi police is doing the cracking down even in the Moosewala case, Lawrence Bishnoi case, not Punjab police or Haryana police. The other aspect is this is like a project basis. So you finish a project, get benched for a while, come back and then project. So aapko bas wahan pahunchna hai, everything else will be ready. And who are these people coordinating? Somebody sitting in Canada or in the US, a gangster who's a close associate of a known Khalistani sympathizer who's operating out of Pakistan. And they are using youngsters in India, 14-year-olds.
Not 4-5. Yeah, the unfortunate reality is they're not 4-5 such gangs. There are 50-70 such gangs operating out of the Punjab-Haryana region. And today they are so inter-networked, interrelated. Even the Punjab police is confused in its local reporting as to how these gangs are connected to each other, how they work with each other. But the problem now is that there are people who are controlling them entirely from abroad. They might be associated with Khalistani sympathizer. They might be associated with people who are anti-India or with anti-Indian interests. Or worse, they might be people associated with the ISI. My first question is, what has the Punjab police done in the last 10, 15, 20 years when these gangs were coming up? These are not, this is not a small number. This is like a proper underworld ecosystem which is now thriving in Punjab, Haryana. What have the local police departments been doing? Number two, even we saw this with the case of Sidhu Moosewala. Anand, where are they getting the explosive, the ammunition, the guns? They are not using the traditional katta as we used to call it in UP and Bihar. These are some very sophisticated weapons and they cost a lot of money. To shoot someone with 45 bullets, to pound them with 45 bullets with sophisticated weapons. These are not your cheap guns which are made up in cycle factories. These are imported from abroad. So my question is how it is coming into the state. That's another question. And who is paying for them? Is this being paid by the gang which is running its operations outside? Or is it being paid by the locals? Who is running the entire money operation?
Or is it just being purely funded by the sale of narcotics? That's the other angle. These are the ones, these gangs are the ones not just running guns, but they're also running drugs. And somewhere is this all drug money, dirty drug money that is being used to procure these kind of arms and ammunition and to then conduct these kind of absolute instances of law and order and anarchy on the streets. This is brazen, brutal murder that's happening. Sudhir Suri, then Pradeep Singh Bargari. Who are these trigger-happy people who are walking around with guns and think that they can shoot down anybody and everybody, and they all claim to have licenses, or if not licenses, then highly sophisticated weapons, automatic weapons. Hemant Atri, Tushar Gupta, Abhishek Banerjee, thank you very, very much. We're going to take a very short break here on The Nation at 5. Stay with us.